Welcome to the Great Divorce Podcast, hosted by divorce financial analyst and retirement planning counselor Andrew Hatherley. Join Andrew and guest experts as they help late-life divorcees build the financial and mental foundation for a meaningful future. There is life after divorce. Now, on to the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Great Divorce Podcast. I'm very happy to have a returning guest today. Tracy Ann Moore Grant, you may remember, is a family law attorney in the Atlanta area. But she's more than that, because in 2019, she founded the Amicable Divorce Network, a network of legal, financial, and other professionals dedicated to working together to achieve a respectful divorce for their clients. Full disclosure, I happen to be a member of the Amicable Divorce Network and am currently the financial chair of the Amicable leadership team. I wanted to have Tracy on the podcast because the Amicable Divorce Network has big news. On March 25th, 2025, a very substantial book spearheaded by Tracy will be published. The book is titled Divorce Amicably, Your Roadmap to Resolution. And Tracy is here to tell us how this book might help you folks listening out there, whatever stage of the divorce process you may be in. Tracy, welcome back to the Great Divorce Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me and for all that you do for the organization.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay, so let's start out by reminding our listeners about the Amicable Divorce Network. What is it, and how did you come about to found it?
So it's the only organization in the world that vets divorce professionals, and we vet them for being resolution focused, experienced in their field, and engaging in fair billing practices. We think these are the three ideals that people going through divorce are looking for in professionals. And so we vet everybody prior to membership to make sure that they are a good fit for us and for clients. When people choose an amicable divorce, it is also a completely organized out-of-court process, and it is hosted on our universal technology platform. So there's a lot that's going on there. So you can find a really great professional to work with in our directory, and you and your spouse can choose also to divorce amicably.
The directory, we should tell our listeners, can be found at divorceamicably.com. And how many members does the network currently have, Tracy Ann?
We're at about 330 right now.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Yeah. And growing around the country. I assume it's probably a lot of people in the Southeast where you're based, but I know for a fact that it's growing around the country.
In the world, yes. We're lucky to have members in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom that we have vetted, and we have great groups all over. Philadelphia, Chicago, Las Vegas, as you know. And I started in Georgia, so we definitely have a large concentration of members here, but we have been welcoming members from all over the world ever since. So if you're looking for somebody, hopefully you can find what you need in our directory.
Terrific. Now, amicable divorce, perhaps you could just briefly overview for our listeners how it may be distinct from other more settlement-minded processes that they may have heard of, such as mediation and collaborative law.
Yeah, certainly. So an uncontested divorce, that's a term that we hear people use all of the time. And in our world, an uncontested divorce means the parties sat down at a table, agreed upon all of their terms, and they need somebody to just type it up for them and make it legal. The reality is most parties want to be uncontested, but they're really unable to have those tough conversations. And the more complicated the issues, children, home, retirement assets, child support, alimony, the more topics you put on the table, the less likely parties are able to navigate them themselves, both properly and in a low conflict manner with their spouse, that it just doesn't cause more problems. So we find most people want to resolve their case. They just need help. And that's where Amicable comes in. So we are a completely out of court process. It's very organized. People exchange documents and information. We utilize mediation as a tool, as one of the ways to resolve differences. It's not by itself a process. It's guided by professionals in our process. And we found tremendous success with helping people really streamline the issues with the correct professionals to help them.
When you say it's completely out of court process, does that mean there's no initial filing that has to start amicable, or what if they've filed already?
If they have filed already, we call it saving the case. So we've certainly done that where people have filed. They sometimes even have lawyers already that aren't in the network, and then they come across us. And so they might reach out and say, can we turn this into amicable? We do that often. And so people need to know that they are always in charge of their divorce. So they always have the right to make different decisions on how they want it to be handled. If you're actually using our out of court process, both parties do need to agree to use that process. Usually when they see that it's faster, more cost effective, that's a pretty easy sell to get the other party to agree to at least give it a shot. And we're pretty successful with taking them over the finish line.
No, that's terrific. I'm wondering, have you seen, or I don't know if there is any statistics on this, on whether the divorce resolution process is moving towards more settlement oriented processes such as amicable, mediation, collaborative over time, that people are becoming more aware that there are alternatives to the divorce industrial complex, which I think we're all familiar with.
Well, we are. I mean, I think professionals in this space understand that when parties have conflict, that is a good way to burn through money in a divorce process. So conflict exactly equates to cost. And so the more that you have professionals that are working on resolution and not court, the cheaper and faster your process is. But yes, we see tremendous movement towards parties wanting to settle things themselves. The current statistics, depending on what you're looking at, are anywhere around 92 to 95% of cases resolve outside of the court system. Yet we continue to see family law professionals going through the antiquated court process, serving 5 years of discovery, taking depositions, having, minor court hearings, and doing things that really just generate conflict and cost that often aren't necessary. So resolution-focused professionals know that. They know how to sort of triage an issue and issue point. That's how we're going to solve this issue. That's how we're going to solve this one and get it to the end point. But more and more people are listening to podcasts like yours. They're going on the internet. They're doing a ton of research to see what's out there because they don't want to set their money on fire just to get a divorce.
And the conflict brings not just a financial cost, but an emotional, psychological cost and damaging relationships within the family as well.
Yeah.
There's the old saying about the family law world, the divorce world sees good people on their worst behavior. I think you'd agree that the process that they choose to resolve the divorce can either fuel the flames of bad behavior or dampen it down and produce a more reasoned discussion, which can also result in spending less and making better decisions.
Yeah, if people are expecting emotional justice through the court system, they're going to be very disappointed because judges simply don't have the bandwidth to hear all of the cases, to really pay attention to people and give a great, meaningful result. And parties that end up going through the litigated process normally are broke financially. It costs about 6 to 10 times more than our process. It takes about 18 months, whereas ours takes about 3 to 4 months max. And they're also emotionally broken. We, in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, our legal system is adversarial. And what that means is you're using the same process to see if somebody is guilty of murder as you are to develop a parenting plan for a special needs child. And the process is you put your best out there, they put their best out there, you attack one another, and the judge picks a winner. That's what an adversarial process is. It is not designed to find the truth. That is an entirely different court system that we don't have. And people don't understand that. You really can't advance your position without attacking the other person. And that's so harmful to individuals, co-parents, people who want to be grandparents together and be able to both go to those birthday parties and special events. It does nothing to make people healthier, wealthier, or in a better position. It really is quite damaging.
Well, well said, Tracy. How did you come to create this book about amicable divorce and the divorce process? I I I've contributed 3 chapters to the book, and I know
Mhm.
that was hard work. I can't imagine coordinating, what is it, 40 professionals
40
and
professionals, 80 chapters in 3 different countries. And so it was supposed to be a guidebook to divorce. Here's some tips. And people were turning in such amazing content, including yourself, and that we really ended up expanding the book. It ended up being 3 times larger than we
my
expected.
goodness.
But it really is it's the only one of its kind. It's a comprehensive guide from multi-disciplines of professionals, attorneys, mediators, financial professionals, realtors, coaches, mental health, giving their best advice on how you can get through your divorce in a low conflict, low cost, and healthy manner. So you'll be able to open the book, and if you have a gray divorce, turn right to Andrew's chapter on gray divorce and take his tips and put them to action in your case. And we've tried to cover every topic. So if you need some advice, you should definitely be able to find the answer in the book.
So the book is, would you say, a reference tool for somebody going through divorce? So if our listeners are, one would assume, mid to late life
Mhm.
in age and going through divorce, they might want to read my chapter first
Mhm.
on gray divorce and how the gray divorce phenomenon and some of the implications
Mhm.
for older people getting divorced. I assume a younger person in their 20s or 30s who may have small children,
Mhm.
there would be chapters dedicated to child related issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's chapters that apply really to everybody. It's a timeline of going through the divorce, and it begins with, what is your mindset for your divorce? How do you understand the different types of divorce, like you were touching on later, the different processes? How do you make those decisions? How do you interview a divorce attorney? What should you be looking for? I did a chapter explaining how attorneys bill their time because people just really don't understand that. So there's information in there that will help everybody, mentally, how to divorce healthy, how to know when you need a mental health professional. Here's, some signs that you might need to get some help. And, then what do you do post divorce? When do you start dating?
Wow.
Yeah, what do you do about estate planning? Different things like that, so that it really is from the start of the divorce to the end, the best information from the best professionals out there on how to divorce well. I don't know of any other guide that's really telling you how to save your time and money and sanity through divorce. And so this really does hit all the topics.
In hitting all the topics and all the various professionals involved, this a theme that I strike consistently on the podcast and in articles I write is the importance of having specialists
Mhm.
in the divorce world dealing with particular issues. I'm not an attorney, and
Mhm.
tell that up front to people all the time because the more a name gets out there, the more they're asking for advice. Is that you want to talk to an attorney about that in
Mhm.
your state. But at the same time, if an issue of restricted stock units or pension division comes up, you may want to speak to a financial specialist. Similarly, as we've joked many times in the
Mhm.
past, every lawyer's office has a box of tissues
Yeah.
on their conference table, but you really don't want to be paying your attorney $500 an hour to do
Mhm.
a therapist's job. So all these different professionals are represented in the book,
Mhm.
correct?
They are. I mean, our organization welcomes any professional that helps people before, during, and after divorce. And we called upon all of our members to submit their best tips. And that's what helped us create the book. So you will find this is a multidisciplinary approach where people are giving their best advice and they're experts in that field. So you're correct. You're not going to find me writing on restricted stock units. It wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. So we have experts like you and others writing on the financial matters. And I think whether you're somebody going through a divorce or you're a divorce professional, we all have expertise in that one lane, usually, sometimes two. I'm an attorney and a mediator, but I'm not a financial professional. I'm not a mental health professional. So it's also a good reference for professionals.
Yes.
To when you get asked questions, you can say, oh, well, here's this great resource, or let me consult with this book, and here's some tips that they gave. So, and it really, gives you a basis for making those recommendations and understanding. So also for the professionals out there, it's probably just a good one to have on your bookshelf that you can, call upon for some answers, because it really does cover everything.
One of the things I'm looking forward to is reading the book.
Yeah.
Not just sharing it with my clients, but actually, as you say, availing myself of the knowledge of these other 39 professionals. You said there were 40 contributing.
40. It's 500 pages, Andrew. So if you plan to read it, grab yourself a cup of tea and sit down for a while, because it really, we sort of have dubbed it the dictionary of divorce. It's not sorted like a dictionary. It is more like a timeline, but whatever issue you're facing, I know we hear about narcissists, a lot. We cover that in the book, and how you can handle it and still resolve your case. So it really does touch on all of the issues, and it is quite comprehensive. So, yeah, if you're going to read it, it'll take you a little bit, but we have an ebook, a paperback, and a hardback.
Oh my goodness, 500 pages. This is not some slim little vanity publication. This is the real deal.
We hope that people really do look to it as a resource for very good advice across all sorts of different professions. And so, we never really wanted it to be, just sort of a quote book, or, very limited in what it was, but it certainly did morph into something quite more than we anticipated. Because, I got these submissions, and the editors of the book did as well, from people, and we would just discuss it and say, this is so good, we don't feel right cutting any of this out. Like, this is information we want people to have. And so we just ended up putting most of it in there, and wanting it to end up being a very comprehensive guide.
Yes, I think yours truly had some conversations with the editors about edits. I think my chapters might have been a little lengthy.
I think they were about 2 to 3 times longer than we expected, but they're probably still in there pretty long, because it's really hard, because we think if somebody reads this chapter, that part that you wrote might be very helpful to them about quadros, or, all these different things. They, everything, if somebody's going through divorce, they're going to find something that speaks to them and their journey in it. Because there is so much information. And so, we didn't do a lot of editing to your chapters, Andrew. Some of them we had to pare down a little bit, but they're just so such good information we got from our professionals that it's a pretty big book.
It is. I'm imagining some other people must have been a little bit like me, a little bit on the lengthy side.
You weren't the only one, that's for sure.
So before we go on, when the book comes out, on the 25th of March in 2025, yes. If you're listening to this podcast in the year 2030. So March 25th, 2025 is the launch. Now, there's a launch party on Zoom, right?
That's correct. So on March 25th at noon Eastern, everybody is welcome to join us for our launch party on Zoom. And you can head to divorceamicably.com or amicableddivorcenetwork.com and look at either event calendar. You'll see it on March 25th. Just click on it, and it takes you through the steps to register and to get the link to join us. We'll be having author interviews that day, giving away some prizes, giving more information about the book. And so if this is something that you're interested in, whether you're a professional in the divorce space or just somebody facing divorce, join us, see what it's all about. You might win a prize.
Terrific, terrific. Well, I know I'll be tuning in. I can't resist those prizes.
I give good prizes.
And so after the 25th, it'll be available, I assume, on Amazon?
Yes, Amazon. It may be offered through other booksellers, but definitely you'll be able to find all three formats on Amazon. So you can download it and read it in private on your Kindle if you're maybe not wanting people to know that you're reading a
Right.
500-page divorce book. So you would have the availability to do that privately. And if you're somebody who likes a highlighter and tabbing your book, maybe go with the hardback version, and they'll all be available on March 25th.
Oh, that's terrific. I'm really excited about the launch myself, and I'm excited to. I'm waiting for that knock at the door because I've ordered 100 copies. So
That's going to be a pretty heavy box that's going to come in, knowing how big it is. And for anybody listening, we also have set up some book signing events. We already have some scheduled for Naples, Florida, Charleston, South Carolina, Chicago, Illinois, and Alpharetta, Georgia. You can look through the calendar for those events and sign up, come by. We're going to have some books, we're going to be signing them, and some of our authors have some giveaways like bookmarks where people who get the book will get a discount code for Our Family Wizard, which is a parenting app. We are the recipients of their first ever discount code, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then we have members giving away some other fun things like pen highlighter combos and tote bags and different things. So if you come to one of the events, you'll get some free stuff too.
terrific. So those events and any new events that might be added will be noted on the divorceamicably.com webpage.
Absolutely. And we also have other events that are often open to the public. So, just peruse through that. You're always welcome to sign up for any event that has public registration. We have one coming up on meditation and mindfulness, where people will also get a discount code for a meditation app that's being offered to the network. And, just anything you look on there, we do lots of innovative training and information for both professionals and people going through divorce.
That's great. That's great. This is an exciting venture, and I'm looking forward to going through it with you and the rest of the team, and seeing the response it receives out there in the public. I wanted to ask you before we sign off, Tracy Ann. Writing a book, they say that everybody has a book in them,
Mhm.
and I know that following divorce, a lot of people reset their lives and experience personal growth, and sometimes are able to tap into some of their creative
Mhm.
abilities that maybe were repressed, in their married life. And I'm wondering if you could just discuss the book a little bit from the point of view of a project, and
Mhm.
maybe go behind the curtain a little bit. Save the innocent, whatever, protect the innocent. But the process of getting it done. Now, I
Mhm.
know not everybody's going to be. Some people do write nonfiction books. This
Sure.
is a nonfiction book, so
Mhm.
you're involving all these professionals. To me, it sounds like a massive cat herding operation.
You've got it right. Yeah, it still is. The emails I get per day of, can I get this? Can you resend this? And different things. So, luckily, our publishers did handle, the authors and their work. I'm certainly not an editor or anything like that. But if anybody's interested in writing a book, I think the first thing to know is that it certainly happens, but it's quite rare that somebody's going to pay you to write a book. That's what we see in movies is, oh, I got my advance check and all this kind of stuff. And that really
Right.
isn't how it works anymore unless you're just, have just such a great generally fiction book. But you normally have to pay to have it published, and you really want to find a publisher that works well for you, has great, reviews, and really knows what they're doing. We found that with O'Leary Publishing and have been very helpful. Have been just so glad to have connected with them. I was involved in another book prior. It was a different experience. This one is much better, far more organized, and really on point with our mission and values. They really, got it and understood it. So if it's something somebody's looking at, you can, look for some publishers and interview a few like I did, and see what the comparisons are. What do they expect you to do? What are they going to do? What's the cost? What do you get for that cost? Different things like that.
One of the great challenges I would think for them, and maybe I should have the publisher on to
Yeah,
answer this,
sure.
but is 40 different contributors.
Yeah.
And that's 40 different voices. I mean,
Mhm.
how do you and you may not know the answer to this, but you
Yeah.
might have seen it. I'm sure you read every every
Yeah.
piece. How do you make a book into one common voice when you've got 40 different contributors?
Yeah, they had only ever worked with, I think, five authors on one project before. So it definitely was surprising, I think, to all of us, all the different people management and different things that you need to do. But I mean, that's what the editor does, and that's what I worked with them on. They are not divorce experts. And so they would often, send things to me because they didn't know what was important, what could be cut, what we needed to focus on, different things like that. So it really, was a process of going through and creating consistent messaging, consistent voice and advice, to the people who are going to be reading it. And so, hats off to them. I know it was a big project, and we're all glad to be, wrapping it up, and was more heavy lifting than I think they anticipated. But I think the end result creates such a unique guide for people going through divorce to save their time, money, and sanity through the divorce process. There really is nothing else like this out there.
Very excited to see it launched. Divorce Amicably, your roadmap to resolution, March 25th. If anybody wants any information about the book launch on that date, go to divorceamicably.com. It will be available on Amazon in various formats, as Tracy said. And Tracy, I want to thank you very much for all the work you've done in bringing this project to fruition and giving people such as myself who want to help get the word out there as well, the opportunity and the platform in this book to do that. Really looking forward to it.
Thank you for all that you did. And for everybody listening, Andrew has 100 copies that he needs to sell as well. So he'll probably be handing out some signed copies somewhere along the road. So people can get that on Amazon at the Amicable Divorce Network website. Signed copies will also be available there as well. And sign up to come celebrate with us. I think a lot of times people are really intimidated to do that if they don't know somebody else, even if it is just online. But on March 25th, if you're listening to this, come on, see what it's all about, and check out the project.
Yeah, there will be a lot of people on that call, I'm sure. Thanks very much, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Gray Divorce Podcast. To learn more or get in contact with your host, you can visit Andrew's website at transcendretirement.net. Also, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Information provided is educational only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Each situation is unique and should be discussed with your tax or legal advisor prior to implementation. Andrew Hatherley is not an attorney and does not provide legal advice. Information provided is financial in nature. Advisory services offered through Hatherley Capital Management, LLC. Divorce financial analysis services offered through Wiser Divorce Solutions, an affiliated company.